This video is all about the secret ingredient of team motivation. Stay tuned and you'll learn what actually drives your team members to take action and do the kind of things that you want them to do, and also what that secret ingredient of team motivation really is.
So I suppose a good place to start is by asking the question, what is motivation? Like many words in life, it's something that we assume that we know what it is. Oh, you just need to be more motivated. Or, that guy is highly motivated, or that woman's very motivated, or that person's not very motivated. But it's the kind of term that we maybe chuck around without thinking about too much as well. And actually, if you look in the dictionary, what it actually says, the definition of motivation is the reason or reasons for acting or behaving in a particular way. So it's having a reason or a set of reasons that make you act or behave in a particular way. Now, let's put this into action. So, for example, when we might have some people who are going off on a walk together, they might all actually have different reasons, different motivations that are driving them to go off on the walk. So, the guy at the front of the group here, his motivation for the reason for being here on this walk is because someone Billy has made him come along on the walk. Not very positive motivation. And then the girl or lady behind him, she is saying her motivation is to be healthy. She's gone on the walk to be healthy. That's her reason. And we have a guy slightly further at the back who's gone on the walk because he's motivated to relax, and that's his reason for being there. Now, of course, business leaders want their teams to act in a certain way, a way that helps them achieve their goals faster. So that's why us as business leaders we have this interest in our teams being more motivated. We want to get to our goals in hopefully a faster, smoother, easier, and possibly cheaper way. And when our teammates are, have a good or healthy level of motivation, it's much easier to do that. When they've got that let's do this attitude, everything becomes much easier. But it's easier to say highly motivated team member than it is to get one, unfortunately. Now, there are some benefits to having a motivated team, and I'm not sure. Have you considered those benefits before? I'd love to know. By the way, if you've got any questions as we're going, I will do my best to jump across and follow along and respond to them. But like I said, it's my first live today, so I'll do my best. So the benefits of a motivated team. Well, if people are more motivated, they're really driven to achieve something. They've got good reasons to do it. Going back to the definition, then they're going to reach goals faster. They're also going to have more of a positive attitude, right? They're going to uh, find less reasons for not doing something. They'll find less negative reasons for taking action if they've got a healthy amount of motivation. And having a positive attitude is obviously very helpful because it helps you overcome business challenges and roadblocks, which you're going to come up against because it's just natural. That's the way business works. We don't have a perfect day; that just doesn't exist. If you have a highly motivated team, you're also going to benefit from better communication skills. People will just get on better when they're highly motivated, and because people will be able to talk better together, they'll also gel more as a cohesive unit. And then, lastly, but very importantly, these motivated team members are going to want to take some of the load off of the back of the leader, right? Because these people who are really motivated to do stuff are going to be happy to take on projects and tasks so the leader doesn't have to do them. A highly motivated team member doesn't need all of their work thrust upon them. They're happy to grab work and put their hand up and say, hey, you know what? I can do this. I can take on this. Or I think this is a great idea. Should we go and do this? So there's some awesome benefits for the leader as well in terms of having a motivated team. Now, it's important to know that motivation itself is intricate and ever evolving, and this is just a short training live training session today, so I can't go into every in and out of it because I think it would really be overwhelming and put you to sleep, and it would just be too difficult to get into. But just understand that we have psychological things that drive us, that gives us reasons to take action, and we have physiological things like being hungry or being tired that also drive us into action. And occasionally these things compete against each other. Um, and they the priorities for them change at different times. And let me make it a bit easier for you to understand. And the way I'm going to do that is by talking you through my morning in a very simplified way at the moment. So this is what my morning looks like right now, in a ultra simplified way. So we have three different things that I'm motivated to do across in my morning. So we start off with the orange line, which is work motivations. That's my motivation to sit down and write content, put training together like this. And then we have food motivation, my motivation, my physiological motivation, my need to eat and not be hungry. And then finally, we have my workout motivation, my motivation to get up and do yoga or do some other kind of exercise earlier in the morning. Now, if you look at the bottom of this chart, you'll see it's timed. So we start at 5 a.m. over to the left, and we work all the way up to the midday on the right. And you'll see that these motivational levels don't stay constant. So even though I start off when I wake up kind of at 100% motivation to work out, I admit it sometimes takes me a couple of minutes or so to get there, but normally pretty quickly I'm at 100% level to motivate to work out. It doesn't stay there, right? I work out. After I've done my workout, my motivation to work out drops off. I've done it. And what happens instead, my motivation for food takes over. And then once I've eaten, this drops down, and then it goes up again as I get closer to lunchtime and I want to eat again. And then after I've finished working out and had some food, then I'm ready to go into work mode and be motivated to work. So that's kind of a very rough, display of how our motivation changes, and we have all these competing and overlapping motivations that drive us into action at different times. Now, many leaders attempt to drive motivation through external forces, right? So that's the forces that are outside a person, um, so they will try and influence their team members by influencing their team members in an external way. And the two most popular or traditional, maybe not popular, but traditional ways of doing this were the carrot and the stick. So the idea being the carrot was that you offered someone something good, a treat or a bonus or an incentive for behaving and acting and being motivated to do something the right way. So that was the reason. The carrot was the reason. And then the second one was the stick, where we said, well, if you don't act the right way, then you need to understand there's going to be some kind of negative outcome or punishment for you. So that was the stick. So these are two very traditional ways motivating people. Now let's look at the carrot as the motivator in depth. Now, mostly people will use some kind of cash incentive or financial bonus as the carrot. And that does work. I mean, when you're looking for a job to start with, then one of the things you're going to look at first of all is the salary, right? People are going to look at that. So it does matter, but that's not the only thing that people look at when they look at a job description. They want to know the kind of work they're doing, what the team's like, the kind of culture as well. But yeah, the money does have an impact, and it would be ridiculous of me to just try and put that to one side. However, it has limits and a downside. So the downsides of using money as a motivator are these. First of all, it has a diminishing effect. Look, when you get your first job after you leave school, even if you're not being paid that much, or after you leave college or university or whatever, that even if you're not getting paid that much, just that first pay packet hitting your bank account or being put into your hands is an amazing feeling. You feel like you're king of the world, even if realistically you can barely scrape through the month on it. It still feels amazing. But then we fast forward, and we start going up the ranks in our career, and we start doing okay, right? Maybe you end up with a team member who's earning, I don't know, 80,000, right? Now, if you say to that person who's earning 80,000, you say, look, here's another 10,000 pounds in your hands. Well, it's going to provide them a boost, right? But it's not going to be as big a boost as that first initial paycheck that someone got when they were leaving college or university. The effect of money diminishes over time. And in fact, once you get to a certain level, like 250k or so, um, then the changes in money have much less impact on people's motivation. So money itself, over duration of someone's career, actually has less and less of an effect, because we always manage to spend it all as well, right? So even if 40 grand seems a lot to someone, they'll find a way of spending it all, and it won't seem a lot anymore because they've used it up every month. Um, so yeah, definitely diminishing effect is one. Um, the other issue is that you train people to only go the extra mile when there's extra money involved. So let's say you're the kind of company who gives out bonuses, or you have an incentive structure that might very well work for you. And great if it does, stick with it, go for it. But I also know other people who've used bonuses to try and motivate team members. And what they've encouraged is a culture where people don't really pay much attention to any of the other work unless there's a bonus or incentive involved. So they only become motivated if there's extra money to do it, not if they're just being paid their regular salary, which for me seems crazy. So bonuses can work, but you do need to be really careful that you're not just encouraging people to only go the extra mile when there's extra money involved. Uh, the third reason that money can be negative is because if your business just talks about money as its main driving force, right? That's how your big value that drives you forward, and the people working in your business. We all want to make lots of money, uh, then your team members are going to reflect that. They're all going to be money focused people as well. And money is going to be their number one priority. And that means they're going to be less focused on customer care, having an amazing product, collaborating with each other, or maybe being as responsible as they should be about all the different areas of the business. So I think money is something to be careful of. Obviously, you need to pay well, pay people decent money to attract them, but after a certain point you have to start understanding it's not the answer to everything, and especially when it comes to motivation. Now let's talk about the stick, right? So the stick is disciplinary action. It's the threat of something bad happening if someone's performance isn't up to standard. Well, my question for you is, how well do people actually respond to the stick? And like, have people who have been faced by disciplinary action or threats ever responded well? Have they ever become top performers in a business? I personally think it's very hard for that to happen, and I think it's unlikely that the approach of threatening people is going to help people become the top performers and win medals and become the top salespeople and unlock their true potential. I think you really need to approach things from a coaching type perspective, if you want to get the best out of people and help them understand why things aren't going well. I think this is where having really getting to know your team members and sitting down with them and having open conversations with them and understanding where the mismatch is between their goals and your goals really comes into it, because once you start having those conversations and start understanding why your goals aren't aligned, you can start understanding where this friction's coming from. Right. I'm not going to spend too much more time on discipline right now. We can talk about that in another training episode. Now, a big reason that the carrot and stick don't work is that they're external motivating factors. They don't come from inside the person. A huge amount of what drives people comes from the inside. It's the internal reasons which really drive people into action. So we can think about some of the things that actually drive people. So food, obviously being hungry drives people, needing somewhere to live that's warm and safe and heated, having a job, right? That drives, the wanting to have a job, that gives people a reason and motivates them. Wanting love and happiness, wanting to feel confident and capable and valuable. All of these things also drive motivation, um, and make people strive in their lives. Now, experienced leaders, which you may be one, know that internal motivators often beat the external motivators. So, for example, having a team member think, I want to write a blog for the website, beats you having to say to a team member, you need to write a blog or else. Or we'll pay you $200 for every blog post. The winning thing here is having the team member want, from an internal perspective, to write a blog post for the website. Because if they want it, they're more likely to do it and see it through to the end. Whereas if you thrust it upon them, they're less likely to engage with the project or mission and want to do it. So smart leaders should help their team members tap into their positive internal motivators. Because if you want to, and the reason why that you should do that, sorry, I'll jump back. The reason why you should help them tap into those positive internal motivators is because you want better results, right? You want projects that get to an end and that get finished. You don't want projects that get abandoned or tasks that don't get over the line. So the more your team are internally motivated and like kind of self-regulated with their motivation, the more likely stuff is going to get done and not abandoned, and you won't have to ask people or nag them to do it. They'll just get on and do it because they're invested and engaged with what they're doing. Now, in the real world, what we've actually got is this kind of mix going on where we have the huge part of what drives us are the internal reasons. So whether it's food, love, money, wanting to feel worthy, wanting to feel confident, want to get on with people. But it's not just that. It's not just those internal reasons. It's also the motivate. The money does play a part as well. Of course, if people are underpaid, then they'll move to another job where they're better paid. Um, but the discipline is much, much smaller. They say for children, you should actually have like an 8-to-1 ratio between positive and negative comments to your children. So you should think about that in terms of, if you think about the discipline being the negative aspect of your relation with your team members, then you probably need to be thinking of at least that similar ratio of keeping everything a lot more positive, focused on internal positive motivation, and a lot less focused on the negative external motivation. So, given all this, you're probably thinking, how can leaders cut through the noise and motivate their team the right way? By focusing on a big idea, the big motivational ingredient that this whole presentation was built around. And that idea is increasing the happiness of your team members. Now, I know what you're thinking. Happiness, well, that seems really airy fairy and something, like be nice to do, but that's not what business is about, right? Businesses are for making money and, you know, other hard business stuff like that. And that's fair enough. Businesses are designed, or many businesses are designed to generate money. And I will probably do another presentation about alternative ways of building your businesses, not necessarily focused entirely on money. Um, don't get me wrong, I'm not one of those people who says money is a bad thing. I don't think it is. Uh, but I also think it's interesting how money dominates the design of our businesses so much, and maybe not in a way that necessarily generates as much money for us as possible. Now, there's four practical reasons for focusing on happiness. The first one is it pays off, right? There's a index that's been put together by Fortune of the 100 best companies to work for, and of those companies, uh, of that list of companies, have earned 20%, 22% more than the Dow Industrial Average over a given period. So those companies that were voted the best to work for actually generated more revenue than those other companies. Also, it reduces stress, right? If people are not stressed out and they're actually happy, let me rephrase that. If people are happy, they're not going to be stressed, right? Those two things are counter opposed to each other, right? If I'm a very stressed person, I'm sat at my desk all day, I'm probably working through lunch, working too late, I'm not having time to work out and take care of myself. I'm going to be a highly stressed individual, and I'm probably going to be sick a lot more. And just be in not very good shape as well. I'm probably going to be more distracted because I'm going to have lots of thoughts going through my mind, possibly lots of negative thoughts. I'm going to find it hard to focus on things. Um, so it's going to really weigh me down if I'm stressed and make me not work at my best in the business and cause me to be off sick. So actually, happiness helps you counteract that. It helps you counteract stress so people are more focused, more capable, and more able to be in a mental state where they can work at their best. Third reason, team members pass it on. People mirror each other, right? How often do you get into a conversation with someone and they copy your body language? It happens all the time. And it happens in a much bigger, more powerful way. If you go down the street and smile at someone and you have an impact and make them happy, they're much more likely to pass that happiness on to someone else. It's called the ripple effect. Um, and what you'll find is if your team are happier, they're going to pass it on to your customers. Your customers will be happier. Well, who doesn't want happier customers, right? That's a smart thing to get, right? And they'll also pass it on to their fellow teammates, their family and friends, and so on. It's a great thing to have happen. It's also going to help a positive mindset flourish. It's going to help that can do attitude because if I come into work, I'm in a happy state of mind, well, nothing's going to stop me today. I'm happy to take on all the challenges because I know I can get through it because I'm in a healthy, positive, happy state of mind. Lastly, and not least, the fifth reason to focus on happiness as a key way to motivate your team members is because it's the right thing to do. Why wouldn't we want to make our team members happier? If you think about it, after we leave school, college, university, we get trained up to a certain level as individuals. But many of us are probably not quite to the level where we could be to get the most out of life. And that's not our fault or school or university's fault. Everyone's doing the best they can. What it does highlight though is that there's an amazing opportunity for business leaders to pick up the baton and help people unlock that level of happiness and contentment in their life, that that they would not be able to reach if they didn't work in your business. You can genuinely transform people by taking them into your business, helping them be happier, and that happiness will spread far and wide. It's a brilliant thing to do. Now, there's 4 things that you can do to improve your team's happiness. Well, actually, this is just a small list. There's much more, but here's a sample of things that you can do. First up, create meaningful jobs. So a lot of companies take the attitude where they almost see people like cattle. And I've worked for some of those companies. I've been in those companies, and they don't really care that you come in the door, you go out the door. If you quit, they don't care. They'll just replace you with someone else. Well, if you're focused on having a happier team, high productive, high motivated team, then you want to get past thinking about people as bums on seats. You need to think about them as valuable individuals. And we can do that by making the work more purposeful. So we can build a purpose inside the business. Maybe your business can spend a little bit of his time helping local kids learn to read by doing book drives. Or maybe you're an IT company and you can encourage people who can't access IT on the internet. You can help make it happen so they can. So it's building those bigger purposes inside the business which give meaning to your team members and will really engage them and make them really feel like they're doing something valuable and worthwhile. And this feeds into that internal motivation, which I mentioned before. Another important thing to do is agree and match role expectations. This is a big thing that many businesses get wrong, where they hire someone and they tell people a story about they're going to come and do this amazing job where they're doing a certain role and they're going to have all these benefits and all these people supporting them and all these tools. And when the people start the job, the reality is very, very different. So we have to be much more honest about what people are going to get and what they're going to be expected to do in a job. I think that's a big, big way of reducing that friction and increasing happiness for people. Another thing to do is helping them grow and improve, right? Provide the right training, help them set out on an adventure of mastery of the profession inside your business. Maybe they come in just as a help desk person, but by working in your business, they can get to spend time mastering the whole world of IT and technology or whatever you specialize in. And again, this makes people feel good and feel that feeling of mastering something and learning something. It really makes people glow inside and feel good about what they're doing and feel like their life is valuable and has a purpose instead of just being the kind of person who's told to sit at a desk and click a mouse all day and just follow an exact protocol. Which actually leads us very nicely to the number 2, which is to give your employees more autonomy. People don't want to just be robots. They don't want to just be treated like uh, walking, talking spreadsheets. They want to use their brains and think and make some decisions. And if you can give your team members a little bit more autonomy and give them some decision making opportunities and some ownership opportunities, it'll really pay off because they'll be much more engaged with your business. They'll be much more passionate about the work that they're doing. And the bonus for you is that you'll have a lot less to do because your team members will literally be taking projects off of your desk. Sounds pretty good, right? Number 3, concentrate on improving strengths. Okay, this is another big mistake that people uh, and leaders, and I've done this myself, looked to work on people's weaknesses and go, well, look, you can do X, Y, and Z, but you can't do A over here, and we really need you to do A. Actually, this is a very disruptive way of doing things, and it actually gives worse returns for the business long term. You're much better off matching people up with what they want to do and supporting them to flourish in the areas where they're already strong, or where they want to grow into, rather than trying to force them down paths that they don't want to be sent down. And I've personally worked with teams where where the business has tried to level up people's weaknesses, and there's always friction and resistance from the team members, and it never happens. So we might as well go where it's more profitable and where there's more revenue to be made, and that's in focusing on people's strengths. All right, last but not least, encourage healthy practices. Okay, you've got to stop people working through lunch, because actually it's not good for business anyway, because they come back. If people work all day, their energy just goes down, 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 down. So it's not good to do that anyway. So people need to have breaks. They need to have regular breaks so they keep their batteries charged and their brains working at full optimal capabilities. And they need to finish at a sensible time and go, this is the end of my day. I'm going to spend time with my friends or families or jet skiing or whatever crazy thing they want to do. They need to go and do that and just chill out. And then don't answer the email or phone or any of that nonsense outside of work time. And then come back fully charged, ready to go.
Thanks for watching this training today. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like and subscribe button wherever you are right now, and switch your notifications on so you can get my next video training. Hope to see you next time. Thanks for watching.